Welcome to the Bluffton News. I'm Anneliza Itkor. Tonight we'll be discussing the latest news. We'll take a look at what's going on in Bluffton business and entertainment, and we'll hear from this week's newsmakers. This week, Dr. Robert Franz from the Kepler Space Institute talks about life outside of Bluffton, way outside of Bluffton. And John Ontal of NicheMarketMedia.net will update us on how the Greater Bluffton Chamber of Commerce is coming along. But let's start things off with Bluffton's current headlines. Tallulah Trice, a local advocate for lost, unwanted, and abandoned animals, has been named Beaufort County's new animal shelter director. Trice is a former dog trainer and operator of the Hand Foundation, which provides medical and relocation services to animals. She was hired by County Administrator Gary Kubik in February. Trice will be implementing new strategies which require the animal shelter to hold off on adoptions temporarily, and has also developed new intake protocol with the clear goal of ensuring that adoptions are permanent. An adoption option sheet will help people locate a desirable pet if they cannot find one they like at the shelter. For backers of proposed Bluffton Outpatient Center, the fight is not over. The new center would involve the relocation and expansion of medical imaging services such as bone density and ultrasound, pediatric rehab services such as physical and speech therapies, lab services, and cardiopulmonary services. The facility would also have a CT unit and nuclear medicine camera. Under the state health plan, officials award or deny a crucial certificate of need in order to prevent the duplication of services, contain costs, and safeguard rural and vulnerable communities' access to care. Hilton Head Hospital had challenged the February 6th decision that rejected its certificate of need application by seeking an appeal hearing. DHEC officials had said population data and projections failed to make the case for the facility. But instead of granting the hearing or dismissing the challenge altogether, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control Board voted Thursday to remand the issue back to the agency staff for more work. Beaufort Memorial Hospital and St. Joseph Candler Health System had both protested the new center during the review process last year, arguing that it would affect their operations. And Bobby Softly, a graduate student at USC, is slated to receive the American Red Cross Certificate of Merit for saving the life of a 15-year-old boy who was drowning by using his advanced CPR training. The Certificate of Merit is the highest award given by the Red Cross and is signed by President Barack Obama, the honorary chairman of the Red Cross. Only about 90 certificates are presented each year from among several hundred submissions nationwide, according to the Red Cross. A 36-year-old Bluffton man received the certificate last month for using an automated external defibrillator to revive a man who collapsed at Berkeley Hall. Softly said being recommended for the honor by the program's staff members and the teenager himself was humbling, but he doesn't think he did anything heroic. Jordan Berlinger was moving to Bluffton anyway when an innovative professional opportunity presented itself. Berlinger followed through and was named the first director of the new Don Ryan Center for Innovation. Berlinger, of Alexandria, Virginia, most recently worked as president of his own company after many years with Ernst & Young, a professional service corporation and one of the Big Four accounting firms. He was hired by Bluffton town manager Anthony Barrett from a field of 42 candidates following a nationwide search. The Ryan Center is a technology incubator established by Clemson University and the town of Bluffton in a private partnership with CareCorps National. It is a 3-year model program to build a technology village in Bluffton as one of 5 in South Carolina. It's expected to open for business April 16th with a grand opening scheduled for May 3rd. A Pooler man will ride in the Savannah St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday after he posted a picture of himself plastered with Lovin' Spoon's customer loyalty cards. John Howard won Lovin' Spoon's Greatest Fan Contest, which started at the end of February. Howard won a ride with a friend in the Lovin' Spoon's VW convertible in the St. Patrick's Day Parade, as well as received a Greatest Fan t-shirt and a $75 gift card. The contest was open at all 4 locations, Savannah, Richmond Hill, Pooler, and Bluffton. 10 top fans were chosen, then Howard was picked randomly from those 10 entries. The winner was announced Saturday on Facebook. Harlem Globetrotter Iceman visited Bluffton schools on Thursday. While there, he talked to a group of students and demonstrated some basketball tips. The Harlem Globetrotters are playing in Martin Luther King Jr. Arena in the Savannah Civic Center on March 15th at 7 p.m. And finally, the Hardyville Native American Powwow was a two-day event this past weekend that celebrated the traditions of the Yamasee Indians and other natives of the area. Spectators were treated to demonstrations of intertribal dancing, drumming, arts and crafts, and more. For more information on these headlines, please check out the media sources you see listed on your screen. Coming up, Lynne Hummell of the Bluffton Sun will bring us up to speed on the latest news in Bluffton when we return with Hot Off the Presses on the Bluffton News. Welcome back. Joining me now is Lynne Hummell of the Bluffton Sun. Lynne, a lot has been happening in Bluffton, and I'm sure it's keeping the town council on its toes. What's the latest news from the Bluffton Town Council?
Thanks, Anneliza. The Bluffton Town Council had a retreat last Friday that lasted all day from 8 in the morning until 5 at night, and they do this annually. And this time they discussed, they had a list of 5 topics that they wanted to discuss. They got to economic development and also talked about town sustainability, improving government services, and also they talked about the May River. They spent a fair amount of time discussing jobs and business, which also included special events and tourism and how one draws the other. And they listened to a presentation on the May River Watershed Action Plan that was given by town engineers. One of the topics that they did not get to was infrastructure and facilities. So they're going to have to meet again to finish that discussion.
Well, obviously they have much ground to cover. When are they planning on finishing the discussion?
Well, they've set March 21st, which is next Wednesday, as a tentative date because they need to discuss all of these topics so that they can set their top 10 priorities for the coming fiscal year, which begins on July 1st.
Gotcha. Now, taking you from the offices of the council to the office of the mayor, I understand that Mayor Lisa Sulka will be holding a State of the Town address this week.
That's right. She is going to be speaking on, we expect, talking about those same 5 topics probably, and also discussing or telling the community about progress with the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, which we commonly call the Tech Incubator out at Buckwalter Place, now that they've named a director. Probably community development and the completion of the Old Town Streetscape project, affordable housing projects, and maybe even progress at Dubois Park.
Now, is the public welcome at this address?
Absolutely. The public is invited to come and ask questions, and she'll answer them. It will be held at 10 a.m. on Wednesday at Low Country Presbyterian Church, and that's at 10 Simmonsville Road. And if you need more information, call 837-3436.
Now, you mentioned when talking about the address, affordable housing as a topic of discussion. Along those lines, what's happening with the Wharf Street redevelopment project?
The project is complete. It is beautiful. I was down there just a few days ago. These cottages are so cute, very, very livable. They are going to hold a ribbon cutting actually on March the 27th at 10 in the morning. The handsome homes they're all energy efficient and they have several green elements. They range in size from 330 square feet up to 1,150 square feet. They might have 1 bedroom or 3 and 1 level or 2 levels. And the town is still accepting applications for these, even though they've already received quite a few.
Wow. And I understand that the Greenery has donated something like $20,000 in landscaping to really make it pretty.
They're very nice.
Now, how does one go about applying for one of these homes?
Well, you have to meet eligibility requirements according to the town, and particularly with respect to income. And any applicants must complete a homeowner education course. And you can get an application either at Town Hall, which is on Bridge Street, or you can download it at www.townofbluffton.sc.gov.
Well, speaking of landscaping, and with spring in the air and all the azaleas in bloom, the RBC Heritage can't be far behind. And I understand that we have some local players in this year's tournament.
That's right. It's pretty exciting. We have a Bluffton man, actually, Kyle Stanley, who lives out at Berkeley Hall, is hoping to continue his successful season on the PGA after a win at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Now, Stanley lost to Brant Snedeker, who was last year's Heritage champion on the second playoff hole at the Farmers Insurance Open. He ranks #1 on the money list and in total winnings, and #1 on the FedEx Cup points list. Mark Anderson grew up in Beaufort and still calls that home. He will be playing again this year. And Savannah native Brian Harmon, who is not exactly in Bluffton, but just across the river. And he caught the golf world's attention recently when he won during the second round of the Honda Classic, when he shattered the course record of 61.
I'll tell you, it takes competition to a whole new level when you've got local players involved. It feels like you've got family and friends right there on the course with you. Well, thanks, Lynne.
Right.
Up next, Shellie West Hodges has all the details on 2 exciting new business ventures in Bluffton, as well as the latest networking opportunity to help connect and grow local businesses. That's all in the Bluffton Business Report here on the Bluffton News. Welcome back to the Bluffton News. Shellie, I'm sure you've had your hands full with the new Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, but I know you have still managed to bring us some interesting information on the Bluffton business scene. And there's been a lot of buzz lately about the Clemson Incubator, which is now being called the Don Ryan Innovation Center. Can you expand a bit on what we can expect to find at the center?
Well, they just named their new director last Thursday night at the Board of Directors meeting. His name is John Berlinger, and he's from Alexandria, Virginia. And he actually just had already located here in Bluffton, which was a godsend for the town and for the Clemson Incubator, which is the Don Ryan Innovation Center. And we look forward to great things from him as a director.
Well, I think it's going to mean a lot to Bluffton to have that incredible entrepreneurial center coming up. Now, I've also heard about a unique little boutique in downtown Bluffton that has all the local ladies talking. What's the word on Rodney Vaughn's latest venture?
Well, as you know, Rodney used to own Designer Accents down in the Promenade, and he closed that down and opened a new shop called Tabby Chic in his Charleston-style home located on Pritchard Street. And they specialize in ladies' fashions for under $40. They have gourmet gifts and all kind of different jewelry, and just a really neat little place there. And he's got some events coming up.
Oh, really? Like what?
In April, they're going to do a fashion show and a luncheon, and we'll be looking forward to that, and we'll announce that as the date comes about.
Well, I just think Tabby Chic is one of the cutest names for a store I've ever heard. That is reason enough alone to go out there and check it out. Now, of course, it's important to get information about the upcoming networking opportunities. What you got for us, Shellie?
Well, there's a group of women that meet once a month, Anneliza, and it's called Networking in High Heels. And this is a group of business women that come together to network and make connections and tap into each other for resources for their businesses.
Now, when do they hold their meetings?
They meet once a month at Carrabba's on Hilton Head, and this is a Hilton Head Bluffton chapter. And this month they meet on March 21st, and it's $30 per person, which includes the lunch and the networking. And it's a great opportunity. Anyone that's interested can look them up on Facebook to sign up for that event.
Well, I have to say I'm familiar with this group, and they do make work an awful lot of fun.
Yes, they do.
Thanks so much, Shellie.
Thank
you.
Now,
as excited as we are here at WHHI to be offering an all-local news program for Bluffton, it's come to our attention that some residents are setting their sights way beyond Bluffton. Dr. Robert Frazier will discuss the Kepler Space Institute's exciting plans for a film school and why it's important we open our minds to unearthly news right after this break. Of course, here on the Bluffton News, we pride ourselves on keeping things local, but tonight we have a newsmaker who's going to tell us about how the Lowcountry may be going where no man has gone before. Please welcome Dr. Robert Franz of the Kepler Space Institute. Dr. Franz, first off, what are your thoughts on there being life beyond Earth?
Well, thank you for inviting me. I believe there's a very high probability of life beyond Earth. And we're learning more and more from such space telescopes as the Kepler Space Telescope, which we are naming our institute after, Kepler Space Institute. And this satellite is discovering exoplanets, and these are planets that are within what we call the Goldilocks zone. In other words, they're at the right distance from their sun to support life as we know it. So as we learn more about these, we're gaining more and more information, and I think the probabilities of life outside of our Earth are increasing.
I, for one, find that to be very exciting. Now, why do you feel it's important for us to go back to the moon and then go on to Mars and asteroids and so forth and so on?
Well, good question. I'm very excited, and we hope at our convention that we're going to excite other people about this. For instance, there is the sun puts out a great deal of energy, and part of that energy results in what we call helium-3. We don't find that much on our Earth because our gravitation field of Earth deflects it. But that's not true on the moon or Mars, where it's collected over billions of years. And helium-3 can be used as an ingredient to fusion power. And this is clean energy. There is no hazardous waste material left over, such as a nuclear power as we know it today. So we could conceivably collect this and bring it back to Earth. It's been suggested by a scientist that we had a shuttle bay full of this. We could power the Earth for one whole year.
Wow, so understanding other planets can really help us preserve our own.
That's correct.
Now, you mentioned convention, and I also have heard that Kepler is thinking about starting a film school in our area. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yes, well, our convention out here this week at Hilton Head Island, on Saturday we'll have a seminar led by Dan Gordon. He's a screenwriter, film maker, and he has a school in Sedona, Arizona. He will allow us to use his license, his curriculum, and start a school right here in the Lowcountry. And what better place than the Lowcountry to have films? Think about all the great films that we've made here in the Lowcountry. So let's start a film school, and we can do our own productions right here.
Well, that's really fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Franz.
Thank you.
Joining us now is John Ontal of nichemarketmedia.net, which specializes in business online promotion. Now, it's my understanding, John, that you have a new client that is of particular interest for Bluffton business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've got a new client I'm working with, and they're actually the Greater Bluffton Chamber.
So I guess you and Shellie West Hodges are hanging out a lot.
Absolutely. She is a fantastic gal, and I'm happy to be working with her. She's a real pioneer.
Well, that's terrific news, John. Now, how did you get involved with the Greater Bluffton Chamber?
You know, I appreciate you asking, and it all started when I took over the social media management for WHHI-TV. And one thing led to another, and they recommended that I see Shellie, and also I've got a couple other clients that she's familiar with, and it's just been a fantastic start here.
Wow. Well, what specifically do you have in mind for the Greater Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, and can you tell us how things are going so far?
You know, it's going fantastic so far. I went to a meeting the other day, and I like to use the word pioneers, and there were several pioneers of the Bluffton business community that got together, and basically everybody talked about what direction it should be in and what direction it should go in. And the one thing that really is important is the social media aspect. And the other day there were 65,000 people on Facebook alone in Bluffton, Beaufort, and Hilton Head. And that's why to really get this thing started on the right foot is imperative for the success of the chamber, and then distribute all their information and so forth, because there's a lot of people that are just in these areas that are on social media.
Yeah, I for one use social media on a daily basis, but I also know, being someone who administrates a couple pages on my own, it's a tough job. What exactly does that entail?
Yeah, you're right. It is a tough job, and I like to say I do the things that people don't have time to do, don't want to do, or don't know how to do. And so what I do is I started running the WHHI's Facebook pages. Well, first of all, they had a couple different pages, and we're still got those because we don't want to alienate anybody. But what I do is I post their content, and I go and try to find conversations that I can get in, and really try to put out a viral message. And on Twitter alone, they had 12 fans before I got started, and now we've got over 2,500 followers on Twitter alone, and that's like a 21,000% gain, and their Facebook pages are through the roof as well. And so really what we're doing is we're creating touch points, and we're being relevant. And that's what we're doing there.
I think it's exciting that you're going to be able to do the same thing for the Greater Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. Well, thanks so much for being here, John.
Thank you as well, and you have a fantastic day.
Thanks. We're heading into one of the most glorious times of year here in Bluffton, and that means tons of fun things to do. Rodney Vaughn will be here to help you wrangle your extracurricular calendar when we return with more Bluffton news. Tonight on the Bluffton News, Rodney Vaughn gives us all the latest info on what's fun in Bluffton in our Out and About report. Hey, Rodney.
Hi, Anneliza.
Now, from what I hear, spring fever is in full swing, and there's a lot to choose from. I understand you recently attended an art gallery opening reception in Old Town Bluffton.
I certainly did, and Old Town Bluffton is really gearing up for the spring festival season as well. The Four Corners Art Gallery on May River Road in Bluffton recently hosted an art exhibit entitled Low Country Life. It featured the artwork of Doug Corcoran and Amiri Ferris. The pen and ink and watercolor images represent the wonder and beauty of the people and the places of the South Carolina Low Country.
That sounds beautiful. How long will the artwork be available for viewing?
Artwork's going to be hanging in the gallery through April 6th. And you can get more information by calling 757-8185.
Gotcha. Well, now this time of year, when the garden tours swing into gear, are there any of those on the horizon?
Certainly are, and I look for lots more garden tours to come as the spring season carries into summer. The 2012 All Saints Episcopal Church Garden Tour will be hosted on March the 19th on Hilton Head. They're kicking off the tour with an art exhibit at the Hilton Head Public Library. The jurors for the event will include Joyce and Don Nagel and the winner of last year's 2011 competition.
Now, is this artwork going to be for sale?
It is for sale, and a percentage of the selling price will benefit local selected charities. You can get more information by calling 540-9775.
Now, tell us a little bit about where the tour is taking place.
The tour will be at local homes in Hilton Head and Bluffton area.
All right. Well, I do have to give a big hooray because the Bluffton Farmers Market is switching to its regular season hours this week. What can we expect to find at the market this week?
Exactly. That means that the market's going to be open from 2 until 7 p.m. You can leave work and stop by the market and pick up some things to make for dinner that night.
I think it's one of my favorite places to go on a Thursday, I have to say. And of course, you know, this weekend is St. Patrick's Day, which means tons of bars and restaurants will be doing fun things. And of course, there's the Savannah Parade with all that craziness. Now, what do you have in store for us in next week's report, Rodney?
Well, I hope to attend the Savannah Parade on Saturday, and I'll have a report about that, as well as the 17th annual Hilton Head Wing Fest.
Well, one thing is for sure, I absolutely love spring in Bluffton. Always lots of fun things to do. And speaking of fun things to do, be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/WHHI-TV so you can stay in the know. Now, I would like to introduce you to Otter. He is a sweet domestic shorthair who is looking for a human with discerning taste. He was following everyone in his neighborhood, but no one got the message that he was looking for a home of his own. Well, finally, a perceptive lady scooped him up and brought him to Brooke's Haven, and now he gets to play all day and sleep safe and sound all night. Now all he needs is a family to come and fall in love with him. For more information on him, contact Brooke's Haven Animal Rescue at 25 Buck Island Road in Bluffton, or call 843-757-7387. Thanks for joining me for the news program that is all Bluffton all the time. I'm Anneliza Itkor for the Bluffton News. We'll see you next time.